Welcome to TradeTheNBA.com. This is John. This report is for Monday, the 23rd. Well, we had the triple witching day on Friday, and of course, it was right around the 3,000 where all the action was, and so we were slightly above. We went slightly below, right back to the ABM, and, well, finished right down at the bottom of it, slightly below, right down here at 89. And it was interesting because we've been in this somewhat weak pattern. I've been calling it kind of a soft bull because simply we've been in this uptrend. We had the weak signal here with the crossover that began there. It really wasn't doing a whole lot. We kept supporting off it because the red DOC kept remaining above, and then it started to break down a little bit, and that's where we started to see a little bit more weakness develop from it. Here now we have steel crossing above cyan, which is a little bit more on the bullish side, but didn't have the corresponding drop of orange here to really give it any oomph, as well as midterm buyers below. So we're in a gold run here, as you can see. So we've been flirting right around the highs, but this is still a little bit soft. Now we're reaching a shakeout potential, moving to negative. If that does, well, then I think that we're going to see some more serious movement to the downside. But overall, it's still been pretty decent action as far as intraday ranges. Here it shows it clear with the AM function peak bar, so you can see the gold from the NASDAQ rise, and that began from all the way over here, and we just kind of plateaued. We had potential weakness when it flattens out with the Azure line, and then it started back up again right through there. And so it's interesting because much more weakness from an S&P standpoint than on the NASDAQ when we look at the extremes. Much more vitality right there. And identical, though, from a DOC reading for the most part, except for the steel was a little bit earlier to cross the sign. Now, if that dips back below, that should be a lot more bearish weakness-wise. Euro continuing to absolutely go nowhere. Nothing has changed. The dynamics are all still the same, and we've been in this lull for a little bit of a while. As we move in towards October, well, I think that it will be a different story because Octobers tend to be a bit more dramatic in general. Oil right back down at the top side of the range that's been in for months now, and that's a healthy sign because it's indicating that there's still plenty of economic activity. This selling they were trying to do of a recession just didn't seem to follow through, and really hasn't gone anywhere. Gold had its little dip down, and then we ended up with higher extremes here. Not much of an improvement from a DOC red standpoint, but green has been above the whole time, and with the spike of steel and green here at this particular point, it's given enough to push it a little bit forward. And if green crosses back over cyan there, we could get a little bit more of a burst back towards the highs, and we expected this to continue its move. It was just filling in a little bit of the positive extremes that had existed. So in intraday action, we had a nice little run up, ended up with our little short signals. That actually held up quite a bit despite being weak and within the normal range. We just had these steel crossovers back and forth, but finally it just started to decay a little bit stronger because there just wasn't any improvement from a DOC red standpoint. Just couldn't catch anything, and then we really started to decay. And that was just pretty much a feature of these algo lines that we had. We had the 2008, kind of went right to it, so that was an interesting point at that one. And then as it continued to break down, we knew the 94 was going to be the next point, and it dipped slightly below it. Below that would have been all the way down to the 77 range, and it caught a little bit of a bid from there, and then popped back up, formed some more weak spots, but then produced another buy. That took us right back up to another DOC spread with the strong orange split. And then the red just really started to cave in towards the end of the day, and that just led to a finish right between the two. So I would expect there's going to be a pull either to the 94 or we're going right back to the 77. So it's just a matter of, at this particular point, it looks more weak than strong at this stage, unless that orange continues to fade. Plenty of dips below the red line. You can see all the little equal signs, and that just means that each of them got filled. So I think they'll just, now that the future contract has moved to the December contract, and that we'll probably get some more normalization and get some fairly clean signals, though I was very impressed with this. It was pretty straightforward. And once the continuation started, it made it easy because you had the algo from above to be able to just follow things when you broke down. Here we were just waiting for DOC red to move past the previous pivot, which didn't happen until late, and it got rejected pretty quick and with no steel reset. And by no steel reset, I mean the steel coming below the red and then back above. It can dip back below and move back above cyan like it did right over here, but the span distance between the time that DOC red started to move forward really took quite a while, and that's what created such a soft maneuver for the upside. And there was nothing wrong with the blue candle as it came in right there. It was the P2 from this previous pivot, and it exceeded it there, but this is where that, getting back at least to the 13.5 before seeing it as along. And then when this rejected, it was one of those where, okay, as soon as that red DOC fades over, it's going to start to roll around, and that's exactly what happened. Just, you weren't getting some strong directional move at this stage because it was just back and forth with the steel over cyan, and that really just meant that you had these back and forths with short-term buyers, and then just always looking for that steel. And so once it broke back down below these previous peaks, that was the end of the game for it, and that's how it finished out. So all in all, I was very happy. I'm still short actually from the weekend, so no change in that one at this particular point. We'll see how they open up to start off for Monday. As always, though, if anything interesting pops up, I will certainly put it on that Skype chat. Look for you there. Trade well.